Alright, let's see if this is actually doing anything. I hope so. I have more experience with Twitch than this YouTube nonsense anyway, so I don't even know if this is working. Is it? I mean, I can't even see where my own stream is. Hold on. I just had my channel pulled up. No, not that Apple. Not that. Right. So I was... Hang on. Keep losing track of what I'm even trying to do here. Where is my own channel? Your channel. Ha! Okay, it looks like it is live. Oh, wow, that's really no latency. Okay, cool. Yeah, alright, so it is working. Cool.
Sure is.
What?
Sure is.
Okay. I suppose that was to some degree unexpected. Oh. Now what was I gonna do? I had a thought. Penguins? Okay, yes, penguins. Because why not penguins? That's what this whole stream is gonna be, is penguins! Sure, why not? The whole point of this. This is Welcome to Indecisiveness, the show. Because I can't ever make up my mind what I'm doing. I can't hear my own audio monitoring, but I'm not really sure I care. Because I'm just doing whatever I'm doing. So anyway, I said I was going to do some kind of production. I mean, what did I title this? I called this, music composition, foo, okay. So I guess I was gonna do how I even get started with all of this stuff, and like how I got where I'm at, I guess, is where I was going with this, I guess. I sort of lost my nerve the other day and was like, but am I an expert? And then I just like thunked myself over the head and went, well, who cares if I am or not? I want to make a thing. So I'm going to go on my stream and I'm going to do something. So here I am. Indecisiveness, the show. Yes. Anyway, so if I'm going to go back to how I even got started on this music stuff, well, I think I have posted in a couple of places. The reason I was saying I have more experience with Twitch than YouTube is because where I started out even making stuff was really on Twitch. It was about 2017, 2018. I started making gaming content on my other YouTube, my original channel, that I've had for, I don't know, ever, I guess. I don't even remember how long ago I made that channel. So, in the process of wanting to make gaming stuff, I kind of taught myself how to use Adobe, how to use video editing, how to use all kinds of software, and I sort of taught myself a system for, I want to know a thing. And I'm trying to learn about a particular topic. So how do I learn this specific thing I want to do? That's when I sort of developed my own personal YouTube and Reddit method. If one or the other doesn't know, probably the other one does. So I just put in a search query for whatever I'm looking for in a really specific search query, and usually YouTube has a video of some kind. I'm not a YouTube streamer with a lot of history of YouTube streaming, but I do know YouTube and like SEO, like how you would find something, like if I wanted to look for something. So I figure I come up with an idea and I want to make something, so I just like Google what it was I was trying to make, find a tutorial, and because of my weird neuroatypical nonsense learning process, I kind of have to back up the video like 10 times and watch like the same little snippet over and over again. But that's kind of how I learned the entire Adobe suite. That is how I taught myself Logic, how I taught myself everything I know that I use in my process, which is kind of weird and unique, but it works. And I thought it was kind of a weird throwback. I'd play like the very first thing I ever made, because I told people ages ago, like, you know, I used to be EDM like forever ago. I didn't start out with rock. I didn't start out anything close to what I'm doing now. I was this weird fusion of EDM pop, I guess I would call it. And it's kind of I don't really even know what I would call it, but it was how I first broke into all this. Is I started tinkering around with GarageBand one night, and I discovered the loop feature where you could just play a little loop within GarageBand and set it on repeat, and I was like, well, this is cool. I started kind of like hearing a melody to it. I was like humming along to it. Was like, is this really all I need to know to make a song? Can I do something with this? And so I messed around with it, and actually came up with some lyrics. But it was really weird for me to actually just sit in my office singing for once. This is nobody does that. And that's weird and random. But I had to get over it, and I did eventually enough to record this. And so I came up with like a half-baked song idea and was like, well, what do I do with this? How do I actually turn this into anything? So that's when I started poking around, and I tripped over loop services and like all the sample stuff like Splice, and there's like a whole bunch of different ones. I forget what all of the different ones I had subscriptions to. It was like Loop Masters and Splice, and there was like a whole mess load of those. Get a Sample. Lander does it, like a whole bunch of sample sites. And so that's how I started out. Was I first broke into this after teaching myself pretty much how the workflow of GarageBand at least worked. Hey, Johnny. Hi. More of my workflow stuff, and hopefully this time the stream is actually not gonna break. So, yeah, I started out with the loops. I started out like trying to figure out how to put stuff together and actually even like function a DAW. Like I didn't even know what a DAW was. I didn't even know GarageBand was a DAW. Like that didn't even compute to me. So it like after I figured out GarageBand is basically Logic for dummies, I upgraded to Logic and got the full program, and that's when I started tinkering around with these loops a little bit more. I've had some paid subscriptions. I got some stuff. I brought it in. I was like, all right, so I can't customize it. It's whatever the loop is. So I was like, okay, so I like this sound. I like this loop. And so I like started banging loops together. I got some weird stuff I made out of loops that's like all kinds of key signature changes and pitchy. I mean, well, just as a weird throwback, let me play the very first thing I ever made out of this nonsense, like the loop stuff. This is from 2022, I think, when I first started doing this, and I cringe when I play the vocals because it's just god awful in the vocals. But like I said before, folks, I was EDM to begin with, so this is gonna make me cringe, but this is also relevant and interesting because this is what I sounded like with loops. I hope my sound is working. Is it play? Ah, this is so old. This is ancient. Oh, hey. Oh, alright, it's working. Cool. I sound like a turkey. Like, I wrote the lyrics. Like, I had to turn my monitoring, but this is Splice, I think, is where I got this one. Was the loops for this. I had a whole bunch of stuff from Splice. So this is basic EDM me from eons ago. It was also like weird for me to do dance lyrics. Like I don't know how well you can hear me talking over the track, but it's just like I wrote this. I've never been to a club in my life, and I wrote this because it sounded right for EDM, and it's like, okay, well, I guess if I squint, I could imagine myself there, but I'm not a clubber, so it didn't work. I am not nearly spicy enough for clubs. So great. Doesn't even sound like me now. I like the beat, and I guess I would call it the sound aesthetic of certain EDM kind of, I don't know what I would call soundscape isn't the word, but sound profile maybe? I like this synthesizer mess, so I'm still using synthesizers, and this is kind of where that idea came from. Although they're not loops now, I'll get there. I actually did convert this to rock later. I tried to go back and actually do this on a guitar, and it was so weird. Like, trying to convert EDM to rock is... no. Not usually. It's very strange. Not impossible, but weird. Okay, enough of that. I can't stand it anymore. So yes, that is, that's the very first actual, I think, complete song with lyrics I ever even made, was that I just played. And that was entirely samples and loops just banged together. I wrote the lyrics, I did the vocals. Yeah. So I got frustrated with that songwriting process. I was like, this is not nearly customizable enough. This is essentially taking little bits and pieces of stuff other people made and trying to make it my own. And I have another vision for the thing I want to make, and this is not customizable enough to get there. It's like, it's in the ballpark. It gave me an idea. Kind of like a lot of people are using AI for now, but this was old enough. This was before AI was really ever. This was before Suno was a thing. This was like 6 years ago. So, wasn't really even an option for me. Maybe it was, but I didn't know about it. I mean, I was just kind of bumbling around in the dark, tripping over stuff that I was looking for tools to make this stuff. And so the samples was about as close as I got. But I got really frustrated with the samples really fast. So that's when I started poking around and did my whole, I want to learn a thing, so I'm going to go look at YouTube. I'm going to go watch some tutorials. I'm going to read some Reddit posts and figure out how close I can get to doing the thing I'm actually trying to do. So that's when I discovered MIDI. And that was kind of the game changer. So the difference I found between samples and MIDI, which is where I kind of made the jump to actually kind of writing stuff rather than banging together samples and beats and stuff other people had made, and I wasn't able to change time and any of that, key signature, any of it. Well, MIDI, you can't. Because MIDI, the difference between MIDI and samples, MIDI, yes, is electronic, but it's different from AI. It's also different from samples. MIDI is customizable. Because basically how MIDI works, MIDI is... Oh, let me pull up my Logic thing here. So let me see if I can change. This might break. I don't think it will, but I might. Okay. So, yes. Okay. So here we go. This is Logic. This is the song I was working on. This is all this is all audio input. But if I wanted to, I want to go through my whole how I make MIDI thing again. So software instrument track. This is a MIDI track. So I can pick pretty much any instrument I want this to be. Like any sound I own. I have a whole bunch of instruments here. So I have a synthesizer. I have Contact, which has. Let me show you what Contact does. Contact is an amazing plugin. It is, granted, pretty expensive. No, I don't care about my subscription. I don't have this subscription. Anyway, so you can see here, I have like a whole bunch of different instruments I can pick from to make this sound how I want. Now, how I do that, let me just, for example's sake, pick this synthesizer if I can get it to listen to me. Oh, come on. Really? Is it gonna... Okay, it's being slow. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna tell it I want this synthesizer. So I can go in here, and there's like 1,000,001 presets it can do. So, one I like to use for like background layers kind of stuff. Where is it? It's on... No, this is not the right one. Hold on. Nope. Oh, hang on. Blue Polypad. I like this one for like textures behind stuff. So what I could have done if I wanted this to be a synthesizer, I go in here and I create a piano roll. Create MIDI region. This is just a demo to explain what in the heck I'm talking about when I'm saying MIDI. So I open up the piano roll and I get this keyboard over here. So this is what makes this different than samples, and it also makes it different than AI. And I think a lot of new composers could really benefit to learn how MIDI works for this reason. Because you don't actually have to play the instrument. You don't actually even have to own the instrument. You don't have to know anything about it. You can literally compose completely from ear by doing this. And so what I create note. So I have a note. And now when I click this thing, it makes a pitch in whatever the instrument was that I was using. So alright, so I want it to be, if I'm wanting, let's just for example's sake, this is a C. Even if you don't understand music theory, you don't know anything about it, you don't have the faintest idea, and I don't know, pickled hell what a C is. You know, it doesn't matter. You can click this and it will play the sound at that pitch. So what that does, that tells the computer, play this instrument at this pitch and for how long this line is. So like, if I want this to be a long note, say I want this to last for a while, I can make it that big. And now it plays for however long in the piano roll this is dragged out for. Now, in terms of theory and music and actual music rules, I guess I would say, this is actually translates to quarter notes, because this is a measure, and it's 4/4 time. So each one of these little blocks is a quarter note. So if I make it yay long, that's a quarter note. But even if you don't know what a quarter note is, you don't know your ass from your elbow about that, it doesn't matter. I might get in trouble for saying that. I don't actually know what YouTube's policy is on that. I tend to have a nasty mouth and say 4-letter words, so I'll have to be careful. But anyway, you don't have to know what this is. You don't have to know anything about music to know, alright, I like this pitch for this sound. And I like this instrument. So I can make it sound like this at a C. And even if I don't know what a C is, okay, I want it to be, let me mute this so you can hear what I'm talking about. And now, oh, well, that's not a very good patch to demonstrate that. Oh, let me find something else that's a better instrument for that sound to demonstrate what I'm talking. Let me not be Contact. I'll do a different synth. Let's use the universal one. I like this one for a lot of different stuff too. Okay. So this is just the default patch on this one. Hey, Zach! Oh, wow, that's loud. Zach! Hi! Oh my god. Okay, so going back to this. Okay, so if I pretend I don't know anything about the theory behind this, I don't know what a C is, I don't know what any note is, I don't know what quarter notes are, but I like this pitch, so, and I like this patch. Let me make it be a different patch. Okay, so this is like a string patch. This is like a background string pad. Now it makes a different noise. Too hot? Wasabi. Yeah. Yeah. Spicy food is definitely my thing. Not everyone's, but the spicier the better. I have to have tears coming down my face for it to be hot enough. That's the only point at which it's spicy enough for my liking. Uh, but anyway, back to what I was thinking. I don't know. So now this sounds like a string orchestra thing, and it's however long I make this line. So okay, so if I want this to play like 2 of these and space them out a little bit, I can drag it like this, and so now it plays a space between them. So it's like stop because the line ended. Go because there's a line. Okay. So that's like the basics of like how to program MIDI just from the piano roll. This is how I got from the loops and what I just played. Zach missed my absolutely awful initial like throwback track to me in 2022 that was like the actual second thing I ever wrote. I was sitting here cringing and laughing at myself because it was just so bad. It was back in my EDM days, like before I did anything rock or knew how to do that. It was just like, oh god. So I played that. Maybe I'll play it again, but it's cringe for me. And so this is how I got from the loops and what like a lot of folks are using AI for now that like I did it before AI was a thing. But this is kind of the bridging the gap that I did in between the loops and what amounts to AI before I got to actually using real instruments to make what I make. This is this MIDI, and I still use this for like synthesizers and stuff. So like this is not gone from my workflow. It's mostly just replaced by the stuff I actually have like these guitars behind me for and I can play. But it also translates to if I play this note on the MIDI roll, you can play it on an instrument, just like it's an actual piano keyboard over here. So I can make these sound like whatever instrument I own VSTs for. VSTs are the digital instruments. And so like right now it's set up to be a synthesizer. Let me make it, for example's sake, let me make it be a guitar. Pull up my mixer thing. Okay, so I don't want this to be a synthesizer anymore. Let me go back to Contact, which is really awesome. I like this plugin. So, okay, so I want that same pitch, but I want it to sound, we'll say an acoustic guitar. So now I'm going to make this be an acoustic guitar. So I go back into this piano roll. It's still set at a C, but now it's set to this VST instrument, so it's going to sound like an acoustic guitar at the same pitch, at a same C chord, and so I can control like what I want the sound to be like, what I want the acoustics of the room it's in to sound like, the strum pattern, and so now let me go back and show you what this looks like if it's a guitar. And it gets more complex if you program in entire chords and you know a little bit more about music once you start learning. You don't actually need to know that to be able to do this and make this work at all. So this is like how I started with the guitar stuff before I could even, I haven't had, yes, there is a ton to this, Zach. Oh my god, this is like, shit, I don't know, like 6 years of tripping around in the dark to find stuff and how I even learned how to do all of this. So there's a lot to this. But to break this down for folks that are ghostwriting and using AI right now, you can make the jump to this pretty easy actually. So if I make this sound like a guitar and I like the pitch that it is, all right, now it's going to play a guitar at that pitch. So it plays the guitar at that strum pattern until the dot goes away. Now there's a dot and it plays the guitar at the C again. Now this also can get kind of expensive if you're buying these VST digital instruments. These guys aren't cheap, I will admit that. Each one of these instruments I've got is pretty penny. So, oh, FL, yeah. FL, I tried to use FL. I want to like FL. I hate the workflow. Because see like how I have this piano roll over here? It's just at the bottom of my screen. FL makes you like click like a bunch of foo to get to that. It's like you have to open a second window to even like see that part of it. I'm going, man, this is too complicated for me. I just want to look at it. I don't want to click like 10 things to get in there. They also have like a weird. I get how they want you to route the buses. It just hurts my brain to like drag the little lines around. Like, I like the Logic mixer because it's like I can tell it exactly where I want this bus to go. Not character. I swear. Damn it, Mac. No. Ah. Okay, well, when my Mac is not being stupid. But I feel like the routing here is easier with Logic because I can just be like, okay, so this is going to stereo out. I can just say, go to a bus. And I can tell it go to a bus. And I don't have to, yeah, oh, screw Ableton. I will not even touch Ableton. Ableton gives me a freaking headache. I could go on a whole tear about how much I hate Ableton, but that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other stream, is how much I hate Ableton. I banged my head against Ableton for a while because I had a free copy of Lite that I got with one of my MIDI controllers at some point. I think it might have been like the very first. Yeah, Ableton is crap. I don't like the workflow at all. Like the last time I tinkered with Ableton again, I hurt my brain for like 20 minutes trying to figure out just how to make the song end. And like, how the devil do I even export this thing without it having like an infinite end? And it's like, Logic, right there is the end of my song. Like, I can just click it. It's like right here, and I can make it like if I wanted to. Okay, so it's like, fine, I can just do it that simple in Logic. Ableton is like 10 layers of food to do one simple thing. FL is just a stupid workflow UI. I don't like the way they have the bus thing. It drives me up a wall. So I started in GarageBand. I upgraded to Big Boy GarageBand, which is just Logic. It's the same thing, it's just more complete. So that's kind of why I stick with Logic, even though the stupid program crashes every 10 seconds. I swear, I was working on Fairy Tale the other night. I had like the whole thing almost done. I had this stupid program open on my other screen over here, saved it, and it went kablooey. And I'm like, oh my god, did I corrupt the file and lose everything I did for like the last 2 days? Did it just go up in smoke? I had to fight with my freaking Logic thing for like, I don't know. You saw like my freak out, Eric. You saw like my complete total panic when I thought it had corrupted that file. I was like losing it. And that wouldn't have been the first time I would have had this thing eat a file. I had done like an entire song once, and it just completely turned itself inside out and ate the file. And I couldn't even get it with Time Machine. It just died. And I was like freaking out, going, oh god, did I just do all of this for nothing? And Logic decided to eat itself, and I lost it. Well, I had made a second copy of it. And I got really lucky that I had made a backup and it was on my server. And I didn't even have it in Time Machine this time either. So I was able to go back into our local server and I had a copy that was not corrupted. So otherwise, Fairy Tale would have died right then and there. And I was just like, oh my god, I'm going to be so annoyed if this happens. So one thing I finally did figure out after a while was that sometimes it doesn't like certain plugins. Like for a while I was trying to put too many isotope plugins on one track and it was just kabooming everything. Yeah, it's yeah. So I figured out like I can only really put one instance of mixing, mastering isotope stuff on one track, which that's also why my mixes improved. These digital instruments already have effects baked into them. So it's like, all right, so if I'm looking at this guitar that I was playing a while ago, it already has a mixer where, I mean, this might not be a good example of it. Sound, yeah. This is the voicing, but like you can see, it already has effects on it. And that's what was foxing me as I was going, oh, I need to affect all of this because it's just a dry signal, right? No, it already has effects on it. And that's what I was doing, was I was dropping effects on top of effects and not even realizing it. I was getting this absolutely convoluted, garbled mess of mix. And it didn't actually dawn on me that that was what was happening until I actually did put real dry signal into it, and it was like, oh, well, actually, I don't need to do anything to the VSC, but I do to that. And that's when I actually started cleaning up my own mixes. It was like, oh, that's what broke. Anyway, I went on a tangent. Okay, so back to the MIDI. That this might actually be relevant for folks trying to write stuff. So I showed like the instruments and how all this works. You don't actually have to have anything expensive to do, because Logic, for example, has built-in instruments in it. Let me find like sampler, not alchemy. We'll just do the vintage electric piano that comes with Logic, just as a demo. And most of the DAWs have something like this, unless you're using like Reaper, that's like bare bones. Reaper has like nothing default in it. FL, for example, has crap loads of built-in instruments and stuff. It even has like Logic, it even has like default mixing and mastering nonsense on it. But even if you're just doing this in the piano roll with default instruments, you can get it to play something. And so if I want this to be like a bunch of little notes, I made that one shorter. Yeah, there's a lot. It's tons. So I have like, if I want this to be shorter, it's also really quiet. I need to, velocity is also how you determine how hard you're hitting the note. There's a dial over here that I can make these a different color. So if I want to, if I'm hitting a drum, for example, I'm like wanting to smack that drum as hard as I possibly can. It's going to be a velocity of red like there at 127. So now it's like bang, bang, bang. Well, on a piano, but if you can bang something on a piano, I don't know. It does matter, but sidetrack. So it's like you can actually program into here like down to the amount of how much pressure you're putting on the key, to how long you hold the note, to, you know, if I want to do like kind of slur them together, I could do like this and like line them up like that. And it runs them together like that. And so that's how I started like actually making regular songs, not using loops, not using anything that was pre-made. This is how I started building my own stuff from the ground up. And like, for example, that cello thing I just released was an ancient one of these done with a cello VST. And I programmed in all the notes manually like this for how I wanted it to actually sound. So yeah, it's a lot, and this is, keep in mind, this is like 6 years of me looking stuff up and getting stuck, and looking stuff up and getting stuck, and chasing my tail and going to forums and watching videos is all like how all I got. It took me 6 years to get from there to now, and to know what I'm sitting here going through now. It was a very long learning process. And it was many, I want to do a thing, I don't know how to do it, lookups. And I was like I was saying earlier, I did the same thing with how I taught myself the Adobe suite. As like, I want to go learn how to do this thing, Google it, find a video, watch it, back it up 10 million times, play it over, and watch them do it until I learn how they did what they did. And so now it's just kind of like, I do that with anything I want to learn, but it's a lot of time. This is hours and hours and hours of learning stuff. So this is like the basic thing though for anybody that's wanting to start jumping from loops and AI to MIDI. Would be how I would say to start, is do something like, if you have FL, tinker with it. You know, if you have Ableton, I hate Ableton, but if you have Ableton, for whatever reason you have Ableton, you know, knock yourself out, play with the piano roll and that too. It all works. DAW is DAW, basically. They all have access to this type of piano roll type thing. It doesn't matter which one you use. Cubase, you name it, they all do. So what I would say is just get like a built-in, out-of-the-box instrument, MIDI instrument. And just start farting around with dragging stuff on this piano roll till you like the sound of it. And like, see how different pitches sound? And like, it wherever you drag it and how long you make the note and everything is up to you. And in the beginning, I didn't even really worry about scales, or I knew how theory worked from having played cello for, gosh, how long? I must have played cello. Let's see, I was like 13 when I first started playing stringed instruments. That video that I made is like the little clip of from Warrior. That was in 2008. I was in high school when I did that video. And I was like, wow, looking back, that's a long time. So I actually knew about theory and like basic notes and rhythms and stuff, but I didn't actually understand chords, because here's the thing, violins and cellos don't really do a whole lot with chords. So I had to go in and go, all right, so guitars do care about chords. Well, how the heck do I make a chord? And like I started caring a little bit more about the theory pieces behind it. I'm going, all right, so if I actually want this to be a coherent key, I need to like start using scales and stuff. So that's when I tripped over this other plugin. I was like, all right, so I was using websites and a combination of resources I had found until I tripped over this thing, which it's not really that expensive, but oh, let me just pull it up through here. It's not horribly expensive for what it is, but it was a workflow game changer for me. Is this thing, Scalar. As soon as it decides to load. So basically what this thing does, yeah, you graduate, yeah, I long story short, I have a GED too for a whole lot of other reasons, so I hear you, Zach. I actually got my GED in 2006. Yeah, I was supposed to graduate in 2002 or 2006, and then I dropped out and then got my GED like 6 months later. So anyway, I have tangented again. That is not what I meant. Damn it. Okay, so Scalar. So basically, what I tripped over this thing. There's a site I go to, Plugin Boutique, and they have like all kinds of stuff that is just like crazy, like kid in a candy shop for a VST artist, and like composers like me is like, oh, ooh, all the shiny things. And so I tripped over this one day on a special they had, and I got Scalar too. And so I started clicking around in here. I was like, well, if I wanted to write this in a scale, how the heck do I know what's in the scale? Like, I know they exist. I know something about chord theory. So starting in, well, okay, so Fairy Tale was in C major, so I'll just use that as an example. So this thing here, I can either have it run over an audio track and detect from my singing what the key was. Hi, Gregory. Hi. Yeah. So I can either like feed it an audio track and it will auto detect what the chords and the notes are in it, or I can manually go through and kind of play things by ear. So if I already know the key signature I want is a C major, because that's what Fairy Tale was. So I want to hear like the pitches that are in C major, and it's like I want to know what they sound like and what they look like on a keyboard. So you can see down here it's playing the piano keys in all of these key chords that are all in C major. And it'll tell you like over here, it's like this is what it sounds like. This is the mood that it's supposed to be in. So if I wanted to, what I did for Fairy Tale is I took sax stems, I listened to the vocal that the little AI girl was singing. I went back and recorded my own close as I could to match it. And then I kept the audio, fed it to Scalar. It went, okay, it's C major. So then I went back in, pulled up C major, and pulled up these chords to match what the pitch was I was singing to the correct chord that fit around it. So let me, can I make this loud? Actually, hold up. Let me just pull up the Fairy Tale file. Dang it, where'd I even see that? Let me just like open that. I think this is the one I actually ended up with that was, no, this is the one I actually ended up with that didn't crash. This was the backup I was able to use that didn't break. So this was the completed file. I had another one that was the initial recording too, but this is the final file that had the actual, this is what I recorded and sent to the Hoot-Nanny. So here's like the vocal I sang to match. Oh, where's my, this? So let me just play. This is just what I recorded when I was listening to. Hi. This is what I was singing when I was listening to the AI girls. I came up with this.
We met at the spring form
Hang on. Why is that? Oh, that's echoey because I have the. That was loud. Okay, so ignoring the. Let me just disable that so it's not super reverberary while I'm doing this.
We met at the spring form 1999. We were young, feeling immortal, like there was no winter.
So that's what I recorded after listening to the stems that Sax sent me. Is I tried to make it as close as I could to that, and then I ran Scalar over it. Which let me pull that back up. So here's Scalar again. So if I was to, I think it'll. I'm gonna try not to break it, but I could run over this track with an audio version of Scalar, and it would listen to that and show me that these were the chords that it heard. These are the notes that it heard. If I were to do this again, it's addled right now, but that's how I fixed that. And so then I went back into another instance of Scalar, which this is not it, but if I set it to this, it shows me these chords that are in it. Oh, dang it. And then what I did was I just kind of played that piano keyboard where it was playing the note for the sound that goes with each chord. I was kind of matching it up like, oh, this sounds like this is what the one that matches my voice. Then once I figured out all of that, I translated it to the actual guitar, which I had back here, which is this up top? I think this is up top. If I try to play it into this file, it's gonna, okay. So I need to pull, if I'm actually gonna show you the guitar part, let me not be in this file. But, like, you get the idea, like, this is the stem of what I sang, and I used the scalar thing to, like, show me the basic chords that were in it. Let me go back to the other one that's just, like, a donut file of just me playing things in. This is probably going to be horribly, horribly, horribly out of tune. Let me see if it can, if it's even gonna hear me. Is it gonna do the thing? Yes, evidently it will. That is loud. Hang on. That is really loud. Crap. Okay, so. I'm blasting my eardrums with this. Oh god. That was very loud. Okay, so let me not be mega loud here. So yeah, that's attitude. So I have to tune it because perfectionist reason. It's gonna drive me nuts. So let me tune it first. Oh god. Wait a minute. That's not. That's sharp. Oh, come on. There we go. This guitar is really finicky about being in tune. It's cheap. So anyway, okay. So now, okay. How did I do this? I'm trying to figure out, like, how I would even begin to, like, show how I did this. First, I need the other, hold on. I'm gonna have to make a whole other file for this. Because part of my problem is if I mix and master something and then try to play it as an input, it's gonna echo and be weird. If I'm doing live input, I'm just gonna have to make a new one. So, no, I don't see this. But he's like, this is like the annoyance of Logic right here. So let me see if I can find just that vocal stem that I had. I have to look for it for a second, because I know what I'm looking for, but I have to find it. Not that. Not that. That. No, not that, actually. This. Okay, so I have to go in here and find that recording of me singing just by itself. I think I know where it is. It should be in my DAW file folder. Fairy tale. Yeah, here it is. Well, this is good enough. I'll just use this one. I think that this is the one where I actually recorded the stems that I actually used. I think this is the where I yes, this is, I think so. So let me just make a new. Do I have the, is this the vocals? Maybe. No, that's the original. Is this? Oh gosh, dang it! I can't remember what I did with the. Is this the vocals? Maybe. I don't know where I recorded that or where I exported them to. I am all over the place with my file system. Ah! Ha! Ha ha! Okay, that's what I was looking for. Okay, now I can show you what I'm talking about. This needs to be input too. Put my distortion on it so that it sounds right. I think this is the one I used. It's the one I used. Maybe. Oh yeah, sure, Zach. Oh, okay. What was I trying to do? This is not. It's not the one I was. Is this audio, right? Oh, because I'm stupid. I haven't said that. Yeah, Zach, totally. Join you on Friday? Sure. Oh, God, ow. That was hurt my ears. Why is this so loud? Oh my God. Okay. So let me solo this and solo wherever it was I found the vocals. Was this the vocals? Yes. Okay. 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 I think I can maybe orient myself enough to do this now. So what I did was I took this vocal and I just kind of, I knew what chords I was looking for and I played them in scalar and I was like, I knew what I was looking for the sound for. So I kind of tried to line them up with what I was actually playing on the guitar, and then I did it again on the bass to match the vocal. So that's why it's not identical to the AI as far as what I sang where and like where the rap ended up. Because I realized after I did that, I actually rapped in a spot the AI girl didn't, and I felt weird about that, but I actually just didn't notice until after I had made it because I was doing it this way. I actually had her muted the entire time I was working on it after I did that. I only used it to design my own vocals, and then I didn't use the stems at all. I did this instead. Let me see if I can remember how in the heck I did these chords. Let's see if I can maybe.
We met at the spring formal 1999.
It doesn't hear me, does it? Oh, because it's okay, hold on. Let me just mute these other ones instead of solo. Okay. This is dark, but okay.
1999, we were young,
Wait.
feeling immortal.
Why can't I not hear that? I can hear it when it's not playing. Oh, I know why. I'm wrong button. Okay.
We met at the spring formal
Yeah, there we go.
1999. We were young, feeling immortal, like there was no winter time. Laying on our backs, looking at the stars, talking about this future life of ours. Up all night till the sunrise, and you stare into my eyes. You and me feel so right. You made my fairy tale come to life. I will never fail to stand by your side. Stand by your side. You're my fairy tale. Summertime on the lake.
So it's like
skis,
that.
water slides. Bob-
That's how I figured out what it was supposed to. I just did that and like played those chords until it lined up, and then I recorded what I came up with. And then I did it with the bass. After I did that, I matched the bass to the vocal, not the guitar, doing exactly what I just showed with the guitar. I was playing the bass to match the vocals, and I made it all line up in the end, and then fine-tuned it in the mix and master and everything. But it's like that kind of like picking around thing was, and knowing what, like, okay, so this guitar right now is in drop D. That means the open string here is a D. And that, like, where I was going with the chord theory is, like, the chord is the root note. So, like, if I'm wanting to play a D power chord, I would just play these open strings. It's a D, D sharp, E flat, E sharp, and D. D sharp and E flat are the same note. It's just two different ways of saying it. So that's this one. And D, E, D sharp. That would be an E. Oh, E. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. So anyway, you just kind of go up the fretboard like that. Because with power chords, that's kind of really all I know how to do, because my hands suck with fingerings, and that's kind of where I'm at right now of teaching myself guitar, is just kind of learning power chords and how they... Let me back up. Okay, so the note that I'm playing over here matches to that chord thing. So if on scalar I'm wanting to play, for example, a C chord, I would find up here on this bottom string, where's a C? So now I just count up here and look on this, find the C, and then do the power chord for the C, and then it's gonna match what the MIDI was playing. If I really cared, I mean, most of it I did by ear, knowing which four chords it was pulling off of, and just kind of figuring out which one went where. But it was as much an ear thing on that as anything. But that's kind of like how I just played through and was like, yeah. Zach, oh God. Well then, we were bound to get spicy here one way or another. So yes, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Now I completely lost my train of thought. Damn it. Okay. So I really did. I don't even have the faintest idea what the hell I was talking about. Okay. You know what? Screw it. I broke. Okay. Something to do with chords. I was going. Damn it. I was on the power. The power. Yes, I do. It's direct interface. You can't see me behind me, but this is. Let me see. I have over here to my left as an audio interface, and then yeah, 1/4-inch cord. So yes, now that I'm not dying laughing, yes, I will be serious and actually show you the cord that it's plugged into my my Focus right over there, which is what was breaking the stream the last time I figured out, was I was trying to route the mic that I was talking on the stream through OBS with. I was trying to use the same mic that I used to record vocals for singing, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna sing on stream and la la la, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll use the best mic I've got, which is my singing mic. But it's an XLR only mic. I can only use it through an audio interface. So I was trying to run that mic through both Logic and the streaming software, and they were fighting for the input that the mic was on, and it was breaking everything. So I finally was just like, okay, fine, I will get another streaming setup mic. So I just broke down. I was like, all right, my camera sucks too. I'm just going to get the whole shebang. So I got an actual non-sucky camera and non-sucky streaming mic, and so that's why it works now, is because this is a USB mic instead of using the XLR singing mic over there. So yeah, the second input that's going through the guitar into Logic through my distortion plugin is all direct. I could record it with a mic, but even for my acoustic guitar, which I actually do have an acoustic guitar, even though I'm completely ass at playing it, it's an electric acoustic too, so I can plug it in with a 1/4-inch cable straight to the interface too. In the event that I actually wanted to try playing acoustic guitar, I'm just terrible at it. My fret squeak and like, oh, it's terrible. The only reason I get away with it on an electric guitar is because it just, the pickup and the distortion takes over, and you don't even notice how bad my technique is. Well, it's just kind of like, well, if I want to use anything with acoustic guitar, I'm kind of stuck with the VST till I get better. And so that I'm not trying to, hang on, let me not muting this. This is noisy. I have, how friggin' many guitars do I even have now? I have three behind me. One is in the shop. Yeah, the electric acoustic one is really nice. It's over on the other wall, so it's like it's too far for me to go get it, but I have it behind me over there. And then I have my 5-string bass, which we tried to restring it because when I got it, it was brand new. I got it off of Amazon. We tried to restring the thing because when I got it out of the box, like the B string was like so floppy I could hardly do anything with it. I'm like, well, it needs new strings, I guess. So I was going to replace the strings on it. Eric took the strings off of it, and we realized the replacement ones I got weren't for a short stock bass. Because I have really small hands, so I always have to have, like, the short stock bass. Like this white one back here is too. Hold on. This is the bass I recorded Fairy Tale on. That is a 4-string short stock. But because my hands are so small, I have tiny fingers, I can't really use like a full length bass. Yeah. So it didn't want to go into the tuner, so we got the strings off of it, and we're like, oh crap. Well, now it doesn't have any strings. So I took it to Guitar Center, and they're in the process of restringing it for me. So I don't have the 5-stringer right now. It's in the shop, but this is the 7-string guitar that I got the other day. This is my new toy. That's my 7-string metal, like crazy low riff guitar. So I'm in the process of learning how to do that, and yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That's a project. Is how the heck to play this thing. I've been like studying like metal dude videos on YouTube and like doing my study thing of, all right, well, I want to do this thing. How do I make this like sound with it? What am I looking for this dissonant sound kind of thing that I've been chasing for metal since the days of those stupid loop songs. I've been wanting to write metal. And first I was stuck with EDM. Then I sort of wandered into the territory of, I guess, pop, I would call it. Then I landed somewhere in the middle between pop and pop punk. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I keep ending up in strange genre places because I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I know what I'm trying to do, and I can get close to it, but it's never quite been what I was exactly trying to do. So, I decided like a week ago, well, actually a little longer ago than that, because I actually need Fairy Tale, like, yeah, I did some rap, indeed I did. That even surprised me that I did that and it didn't suck. Well, it sucks to me, but it didn't suck so bad that no one would listen to it and laugh at me. It was like, what I fully expected to happen was I was like, everybody's gonna laugh their ass off when they hear this. And I was like, well, actually, I guess it wasn't that bad. So yes, I did even attack rap and it didn't totally blow up. Dope for the first rap ever. All right, I'll take it. So yeah, I've been all over the place with genre, and I keep like I know what I'm trying to do, and I finally decided like a little while ago that I was actually gonna take myself seriously, and I was actually gonna take what I was doing seriously. Stop farting around with stupid shit and getting all twisted up, you know, whether I'm doing the right thing or not, and like just do the thing, which is what I decided tonight. Is I'd gone around and around and around of whether I had enough content to make a stream out of. I'm my own worst enemy on this so much of the time. But that aside, I decided, all right, I'm going to crack down and actually study this and actually get to the point where I have the skill to do what it is I'm trying to do. And so that's when I was just like, that's when I made that one that I just put up like not that long ago, that I Am the Storm video. Was me, well, that was me discovering drop D was even a thing on the standard guitar, and was like, wait a minute, that sounds way closer to metal. Yeah, best worst critics, that's for sure. Oh man, am I ever. So I tripped over, I was looking at guitar tutorials and stuff, and I tripped over the drop D, because I knew drop D was a thing. I actually had the bass in drop C for everything that I was recording. Because I was a bassist long before I was a guitarist. Because my progression was I started My very first instrument was violin. When I was about, let's see, I would have been in middle school when I started with violin. So I would have been like 13, 14, not even, when I started violin. I think I was about maybe 15 or 16. I switched to cello because I was at a music camp one summer when I was in high school, and I was playing in the Triangle Youth Symphony for North Carolina, and I was in the violin section. I was watching the cellos over there. I'm like, man, I wish I was a cellist. Those are so pretty. I completely fell totally in love with cellos. I was like, no, I'm not violin anymore. I got to do cello. So I learned how to do cello. I took a bunch of cello lessons, and I got decently good at it, which is where that little video I posted in the other one came from. Was me playing. That was a practice video I had to do for one of my orchestras I was in back then, as I was trying to record a thing for that. And then I took private lessons for some time from Meredith College in North Carolina, Raleigh. I was part of their music program for quite some time. Like I said, I was in the Triangle Youth Orchestra. I did quite a bit of camps and stuff on cello. So I sold my cello. I met my ex. I sold my cello because I didn't really have a place to put it, and he's a whole story in and of himself. I won't go there because that's drama, but needless to say, I sold my cello because he wanted me to, and I never got it back. And I kind of put music aside for the 11 years that I was married to him. I should have sold my ex. No friggin' joke. I don't think anybody would buy him. He's not worth anything. Tangent again. But anyway, I sold the cello because of him. So, and then I didn't do anything with music the entire time I was married to him because that marriage was, I know what I want to call it, and I don't think I probably should on YouTube because they might be umpy with me for the wrong 4-letter word. So I just won't do that. Insert favorite 4-letter word there. You get the idea. So yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I didn't really do anything with music until I met Eric, and I had divorced my ex and moved in with Eric. Yes, skunk trumpet, indeed. That's a good word. That's putting it nicely. So that's when I got back into music again. So that's when I started screwing around with GarageBand. Was right after I met and married Eric, and that's when I picked it all back up again. And right after I did that, I was like, oh, well, now that I'm doing stuff with this again, I want to go learn guitar. I'm actually going to do what I want to do, and I've wanted to do my whole life, was do, like, rock stuff and maybe cello. I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did know I had wanted to be a guitarist my whole life and do rock girl stuff. So I went to School of Rock. There was a School of Rock in Fort Collins, and that's where I was living at the time. So I went over and checked it out, and I signed up for a lesson. I was like, hey, I want to learn to play guitar. So I took my first lesson. I took my guitar to it, and I sat down with the teacher, and the teacher was like, all right, so what's your background with music? It says on your application you already understand music. Oh, well, I was a cellist. Well, are you sure you wouldn't rather just do bass guitar then? It's just a cello turned on its side. I was like, wait a minute. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't want to I don't want YouTube to be unhappy with me. I don't need that on my very first stream. So I'm just, anyway, so the guitar teacher at School of Rock is like, well, why not start with bass, actually, to just go to bass instead of guitar? Because if you have trouble with your fingers and you don't have a whole lot of finger dexterity, which I actually forgot to say, I forgot to go down there too. I actually have, let me explain that before I get distracted again. I have a joint disorder, a skin and connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos, which means my joints do, like, I can do this sort of weird stuff with my, it's gross. I can do stuff with my hands that I really shouldn't be able to. And I have really hard time, like, getting my fingers to do the right things because they bend in ways they're not supposed to. It's a weird genetic issue with, like, like skin and muscle and bones. I have a weird problem where I constantly dislocate things and don't even realize it, and then they just go back into their slots, and it's like, that should have hurt, but it didn't. Like, I'll just dislocate my shoulder just rolling over in bed. It's weird. So my hands do stuff that I really don't. I have to work around because my hands will just not do what I want them to do. My fingers will fold or not. I don't have the dexterity I really wish I could. So that was why the guitar teacher was like, all right, well, if you're starting out, try bass. Bass is, it doesn't play chords. Well, not usually. It's more like a cello turned on its side. And I was like, all right, well, it's if I'm not trying to make these complex chord patterns with these fingers that are giving me trouble, and it's more like I was just playing a cello, but it's sideways because it's four strings on a standard bass and four strings on a cello. It's not that far off. So I was like, all right, well, imagine it's a cello without a bow. I'm just pizzicatoing everything. So that's basically where I was going with it. And I was like, it wasn't hard for me to make that jump. And so I was kind of like, all right, well, I'll start out with bass. So I played bass with School of Rock in Fort Collins for, gosh, I don't know how long. I was gonna perform with them, but I ended up leaving because I just couldn't afford it anymore. They're kind of an expensive program. Like I like their method and everything. That's really fun experience, but man, it's expensive. So I didn't stay with them very long after that. But what I learned on the bass, I kind of just kept practicing and practicing, and without the lessons, I just kind of built up my skills and my knowledge of bass by practicing tabs, practicing stuff I wrote. Because by doing those lessons, I learned how tablature works, and I could basically take a tab and play a bass tab. Then by looking at something that's written of an existing song, I had enough knowledge then to be able to do that. So I was taking stuff that I was finding on Ultimate Guitar and just farting around with it and playing it, and just learning how bass feels basically. And I built up a fair bit of knowledge of bass. So that was why I started recording real bass before I started recording real guitar. It was only, I think, the first thing I recorded that was actually guitar, that was me playing the guitar, actually recording. I think that was Queen of Ice. That was fairly recent, actually. Queen of Ice and Nightmare are both fully me playing just like Fairy Tale was. But I didn't actually start even looking at guitar till I think that was a year ago. It was about the time I first met Harkos and Zach, actually. It was right about the time, because I met y'all on New Year's 2025. I had tripped over Harkos' show. And I remember that was the very first time I ever encountered the two of you. You guys were on for the New Year's show on Harkos' station. Kahuna had pinged me and was like, hey, watch this guy. And yeah. Oh, yeah, that's fine, Zach. No worries. No worries. I'll talk to you later about stuff for Friday. Sure. Um, yeah, sure. That was about the time I first met y'all, was when I had just started tinkering with guitar lessons proper. And so it's only really been a year that I've even understood what a chord was on a guitar and how to play it. And I've spent basically the same system of practicing what I already knew and just getting better at it over time since I took those lessons. And I didn't, there again, I didn't take a whole lot of lessons. I didn't need to get me started. And so I just kind of kept running with it after that. So it's mostly just kind of been teaching myself and sort of just expanding my own process at this point is where I'm at. Is if I want to expand what I know, I go look it up and practice it. Watch a video, practice it. Watch a video, practice it. I guess I would say I'm a very visual learner in that a video is the best way for me to learn. Like, you can sit there and give me a text roll all day long, and I'll just glaze over and go, it's ELDR. And I was like, no, I need a video. So if I find a video and I can just keep backing it up, playing it, backing it up, playing it, I'm good. I'll learn whatever it was pretty well. Because I definitely am special in my whole like learning process and everything. I'm a me. So yeah, that's kind of how I developed this whole system of stuff I do. So yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna do tonight, was just kind of like get into that and like show folks this is how I got from loops and that god awful nonsense I played at the beginning there. I was like, oh, this is so cringe. That's how I got from this to Fairy Tale, basically. And I'm still kind of in the process of learning, and I'm definitely still adding to the catalog of stuff I need to know. It's always a work in progress, and I keep getting closer and closer to the sound I was actually shooting for in the beginning. So I'm getting excited because the more I learn, the more guitar I learn, and the better I'm getting at manipulating like this joint issue and getting better at working around that. I'm hoping like actually playing serious riffs won't be an issue for me. I was looking at there's a thing on Amazon. I was looking at this like a dexterity builder thing that Fender has. I was looking at getting maybe one of those. It's just like sitting here like working on my hands while I'm just reading something. But that's my biggest challenge is that joint issue is fretting is hard for me. That's why when I tripped over drop D and just barring power chords, I was like, no way. No way, that's a hack. I can actually do this. So that's kind of where I'm at with the power chords right now. It's like, well, I'm just gonna put it in drop D and then wing it and do it like the easy way. So once I actually need to do something harder, it's gonna take me a while because I gotta figure out. Not only do I have to learn how you're supposed to do it, I'm gonna have to learn my own workaround for my hand. Because let me add to that. There is even more mess up with my hand too. This finger, this ring finger, like my left ring finger. When I was about the age, in fact, it happened on the same porch where that cello video was recorded. I was out on my parents' back porch, and I think it was 17, and I was doing homework, and I had one of those like collapsible tables. That's like one of those plastic foldable like tables that you can get for card tables. I had taken my math textbook out there, and it was this big honking thick textbook with a really thick cover on it. I set it on this table, and it, being that it was North Carolina summer, spring summer, it was buggy. That's one thing we don't really have here in Colorado is like bugs and mosquitoes and stuff. So I had gone out there. I was wanting to do my homework out there. I took my math book out. I kept getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. So I had the bright idea, hey, let me put a citronella candle out here. So I put it on the table, put the math book on the table, and got up and started to walk away and realized the table was folding up and the candle was falling, and it was an open flame, and it was falling onto a wooden deck, and I'm going, oh crap. So I reached with my hand, this hand under the table to try to hold it up and support it as it was falling so that it wouldn't fall over. And I did that, and the spring on the leg snapped shut, and the table collapsed on my hand and almost cut the end of this finger off. And this bone in the end of this finger was destroyed. It was, when they took the x-ray of it on the scan when I got to the hospital after that happened, it was like confetti. Like, this bone does not exist in my hand. It's like the end of that finger is not really a bone. It's still messed up. So I don't have very much strength in this third finger for my fret hand. I can hardly hold down a string. And this was also why I didn't play cello for a long time, is I thought I couldn't. I thought I would never be able to. Which is why I didn't fight my ex terribly hard about selling the cello. Was like, I wasn't even sure I'd ever be able to do anything with it again or not. I've only been able to do something with the guitar and the bass after a lot of work. And this finger is still really weak because that injury has never fully healed. I have this finger like about from here. I'm trying to figure out how to show this. Like from about here down, I have no feeling. There's no nerves there, so I can't feel what that finger is touching. So like the pressure I'm putting on the string, I have to figure it out other ways. Like I have to see like how taut the string is or something. I can't feel it. So there's another problem I have to work around on top of the Ehlers-Danlos and the joint weirdness and just the over flexibility of my hands is that injury too, and it's my fret hand. So that's why it's been such a challenge for me with these instruments is I know how I want to do the actual music pieces and actually play the instruments, but it's like, can I? I'm not sure. It's challenging. So I've had to figure out what the bass, my hack is. I probably shouldn't be doing this, and it might actually cause me problems if I wanted to play something faster. I just do everything with my index finger and slide my hand around, which is probably not the best technique for doing things fast, and I probably would have problems if I was going between strings, but it's just kind of, that's how so if you're watching like a video of me on the bass, that's why my hand is going back and forth, and I'm just using my index finger on the frets mostly, as this third finger doesn't want to work. So that's the hack I kind of MacGyvered up for the guitar and the bass, was just using my index finger. But obviously that doesn't work as well on a regular guitar, because you have to be able to hold multiple strings and do chord fingerings that are not just one finger. So that's why I'm trying to figure out how the devil I'm going to do that. I've just kind of been tangled up about it. It's like, oh God, am I even ever going to be able to do this? So hopefully I will be able to navigate this 7-string and do what I want to do with the riffs and stuff, because I have a bunch of ideas. I've watched the videos. I kind of got my head in gear for how I want to go about it. I know what I need to know, I guess is how I would put it. I know like where I want to go next and what I want to learn. Question is, can I execute with my hand? I don't know. I'll do the best I can to work around it, and I may have to do some weird hacks, like I was doing with the bass, and like it's like, well, I'm typing on a keyboard, like a standard like typey keyboard. I remember when I was in college, I actually did go to community college despite having the GED. I went to community college. I have a medical coding degree, and I had to take a typing class to graduate. That professor was absolutely just flabbergasted at how I type, because I do this weird thing. I type with fingers I'm not supposed to type for keys. And I had to like create my entirely own typing pattern. It's like the softwares want me to use pinky for this key, pinky, ring finger for this. I'm like, no, doesn't work. I'm gonna have to like do this weird thing of my own and like make up my own typing system. So because I'm also a video game fanatic and I've been playing games for so long, I have adapted that method to be insanely fast for how I type, and I can type like stupid words per minute doing it, but it's a very, very weird broken typing process that only works for my hands. So that's why when I'm on Sack stream, that's why I'm typing faster than anybody else. It's like I can type faster than y'all can talk. I can type fast as I think, which is ridiculous. But it is definitely not standard typing form. It's all the wrong fingers for the wrong keys. And while it's not 2-finger typing, it's all the fingers. It's just very not usual. I break everything in that sentence. Left hand is the strumming hand. I might be able to. I'd have to get a reverse, like a left-hander, that does exist. I hadn't thought of that because my right hand is stronger than my left. If I was gonna have to have, because picking is usually just, and bass is plucking with the first 2 fingers usually, so I would avoid using that 3rd finger altogether. I hadn't even thought of that. That's an interesting idea. I wonder. I could just pretend like I'm left-handed. Interesting. That might be worth investigating. Or flip it upside down. Yeah, actually, maybe. I'm gonna have to get creative somehow. I know that. I'm gonna have to do some weird custom nonsense to make it work, because my hand is so messed up. But yeah. It's very strange when you roll over in the middle of the night and your shoulder pops out of its socket and you roll over and it's just like, that happened. Pop it back in, keep going, snore. And then the next morning it's like, that felt weird, but it's fine. Yeah. The world of having joint issues. My knees, I can sit in weird positions. Like I'm sitting here, this chair that I have, That's why in the videos I'm always sitting like cross-legged with the guitar on my lap and like not at all how I should. Like I can fit into weird pretzels I shouldn't be able to with my feet and legs. And it's comfortable for me that way when it really probably shouldn't be. I like all of my joints do stupid stuff. So yeah, that's why I sit folded up here like a pretzel. Special. Get up out of the chair and my knee like pops audibly. Like, oh god, that sounded worse than it felt, but so yeah, how the hell long have I even been doing this? An hour? Holy crap, I found enough stuff to yatter about for an hour. Well, okay. Yeah, actually you got me like thinking there, Johnny, like flip that upside down or do the alternate like left hand guitar. That's worth poking, actually. Because my right hand is stronger, so if I was gonna fret and I needed something that was stronger, it would be my right hand. So maybe that would work. If I actually absolutely bust into the wall and trying to figure this out, I might try that as a last resort. I think because left-handed guitars are harder to find, but not impossible. I don't know if I'd be able to find a 7-string, but I could probably find a 6 and just drop tune the thing if I really needed to chug. So that's interesting. I'll have to poke that and see if that's a thing. Left-handed 7 strings. Yeah. That's the most interesting thing I've thought about all day about that. Huh. Yeah, when I tore up this hand, like when I was a teenager, I thought I would never play anything again, and it's only been fighting with it that I can. I was so upset the day that happened because when I was my folks were taking me to the ER, I was like, and there goes everything I was doing with the music. I just like, watched it fly out the window. I was like, no, please no. And it was all because of a stupid candle and a stupid folding table. Those things, you gotta be careful with those like cheap ass card table things because those springs on the legs are strong sometimes, and that's what happened. Is it just snapped shut and smashed it? So yeah, I think I kind of covered everything for now. But I mean, if folks want me to do this more often, I totally can. And Sack was saying Friday. Sure, I can do Friday. So, yeah. It was nice to have some folks come along and tag along with my absolute nonsense for a while. I am indecision the show for sure. So, but yeah, I think that's about it for now. So, I guess I'll end this one and figure out what I'm doing next time, if there is a next time, and talk to Sack about Friday. So, yeah, went pretty well for whatever it was gonna be. No, I'm gonna call it a night. So yeah, bye. Thanks for coming. Really nice that people sat and listened to me for so long. Yeah, have a good night. Bye.